Oh my God! House of the Dragon isn't showing any more episodes till 2024! What the hell are we going to talk about? Oh my God, no! Oh well, let's get on with it. Welcome back to Two Maesters podcast. Woo! Part of the Pick Up the Mic network. We have a very, very special guest here today.
Definitely.
Yeah, we do. It's Liz Truss. Just kidding. It's Jeffrey.
Hello,
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello, Morgan. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulous, buddy. Very fabulous. Very fabulous. A lot of caffeine today. A lot of vegetarian sausages. Yeah, you know the spiel.
Of course.
Oh, hi, Josh.
oh, now you realise I'm here.
yeah, exactly. Last minute. Well, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. The episode though was wow. Like the way to end like cliffhangers upon cliffhangers, like, and the look in Rhaenyra's eye at the end of the episode is like, I'm gonna murder some people. I'm gonna straight up murder some people.
Yeah, she was pissed. She was very pissed. Yeah, and you know what? There's going to be no restraint. The war, the dance of the dragons, like the actual blood, the war of blood and fire is going to start. No more diplomacy, none of that, because, you know, you hear Rhaenys saying she's shown a lot of restraint, you know. She seems like the good person in this situation, but, well, when blood is spilled, you know, when there's blood in the water, the sharks will come, you know. I'm very, very excited. Just out of curiosity, Jeffrey, how many episodes of House of the Dragon have you watched?
Well, like I said before, I won't lie, I'm not an avid House of the Dragon watcher, but
Damn.
Really, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I came on here. Imagine that.
We came on here to shame you.
Shame.
Shame.
No, but what I have said, you know, what I said before we recorded is like, I do like that House of the Dragon is clearly different from Game of Thrones, because it's not like, oh, you know, Jon Snow's the good guy. He's the one that, you know, everyone's just like, oh, you know, clearly I should like him.
The lovable character.
Exactly. Yeah. Here it's just like, you know, 1 week we'll make this person like nice, they're kind, they're doing nice things to everyone. Next week, they can just slaughter like a whole family. We'll see how you feel about that.
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of light for Game of Thrones, just slaughtering a family. Like, usually there's some incest involved and all that jazz. Like, there was no incest in this episode, though. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, maybe I think they were just putting it that there's so much stuff to go around, no one has time to have sex at all.
Yeah, they're too busy for that for once. Yeah, I mean, what were some moments that really stuck out in this episode? I think for me, actually seeing Daemon strangle Rhaenyra a bit.
Yeah.
That was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's messed up. And, you know, and seeing the actor Emilia D'Arcy, I think it's Emilia or Emily D'Arcy, no, in previous interviews, she said that they are a toxic relationship. I mean, I guess it is a toxic relationship in that Daemon's an absolute arsehole.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I don't see how she's toxic for him, though. Do we think she's toxic for him? Relationship advice time.
I don't know how. I can't. Maybe they'll show it later when she actually turned the way that she seems. She's going to turn evil. Maybe that then is toxic for Daemon, because then it means that he is then basically off the chains, released to do his most despicable deeds.
Yeah,
that could be the toxic, or it could be that she turns straight Cersei. And then Daemon starts turning into Jaime. And we're like, oh, maybe Daemon wasn't as bad as we thought. He's changing.
Yeah, exactly. The old character arc, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there could be a big swing over. I mean, I've read the book. I love it. It sounds like I'm smug when I'm saying this. I've read the book. I know what happens, but I'll be a bit quiet. But yeah, potentially. And there's so much that could happen. Like, Daemon's got his own kids as well with Rhaenyra. And then there's the strong boys. Sorry, I mean the Valarian boys, who obviously aren't.
The strong boys, as they say.
Yeah. Oh, that speech by Aemon. Like, I saw a really good meme. I don't know if I sent it to you, but it was like just Aemon holding his glass up to a very strong first season. Like, brilliant. You know, a lot could happen. What were some moments that stuck out for you in this episode?
I would say what stuck out for me is that the amount of times that Damon got his hand slapped. Like the amount of times that you saw it in his face, like when the Kingsguard walks in and is like, Damon, Prince Damon, he's like, what? What did you just call me? Prince Damon, because then technically he is the prince consort to the queen. And I think to him it's like, nah, I'm the king. I'm marrying the queen. I am a Targaryen.
Yeah.
I am the king. And then even the fact that he's like, okay, then we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing that. And then Rhaenyra's eldest son says, Martin, no, you're supposed to do what our mother tells us to do and no one's supposed to leave. And that's one of the things that he said. And then he was like, no, I'm going to continue. And the fact that she was like, didn't I say that this should be done? And I think it's just the fact that maybe that's why he strangled her, but it's no real reason to do it. But it's like he's trying to assert his dominance again.
He is.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I was like, what did you mean by a hand slap? But now I know, like, he's trying to reach for something and people slap away. Like,
Yeah.
when Rhaenyra's literally, her waters are broken, she's in the stage of giving birth, she tells her son Jacaerys, like, make sure no one does anything without my call until this birth is done, which is just like, there's a lot of tensions there. 'Cause I think there's tensions within what they call she's the Black Queen, but what they call the Black Council versus the Green Council, which are the High Towers. I wonder if there's that same, well, I suppose there are some tensions in the Green Council, because with Alicent pursuing to get Aegon back before her father could get hold of him. So there's tensions within both sides, which is kind of interesting. And again, I do love seeing Daemon just rage a little when he's like throwing his toys out the pram. Like that scene with the King's Guards, he takes two of them aside and says, so who have you sworn allegiance to? And they're like, well, Rhaenyra, obviously. And he's
like, well, what else are we going to say with the dragon in the background?
Exactly. Well, I mean, some people are quite brave, like in that last episode when someone said they wouldn't swear allegiance to Aegon. And that was really cool. It's like, just remember, if you break your oaths, you'll die screaming. And I was like, so Daemon.
Yeah. And I think also, to your point, his kids, he has no connection to Rhaenyra's first three children. And you kind of see it in this episode. He has kind of connection with his two daughters. He has connection.
Does he? Does he talk to his two daughters in this episode?
I think, like not in this episode, but just in general. Because like
when what episodes? 'Cause I don't think he's said anything to his daughters since that episode.
No, well, you know, here's me coming out with not my full knowledge of House of the Dragon. But
I'll wait to pick on you. Yeah, go on.
But apparently, so they were going to have some deleted scenes with, obviously with Matt Smith. And they were saying that, you know, they were going to show him mourning the loss of his wife, you know.
Oh, whoops.
I apologise. That was a slur. But yeah, they were going to show that. They were going to show him, you know, like connecting with his children and being like, hey, look, you know, we all lost someone important. Let's go through this together. And people said that, you know, that is kind of like what you were mentioning there, Morgan, that, you know, if you don't know that that's happened, you'll just be like, yeah, this guy's really bad. He's really he really doesn't care about his kids.
Yeah, because I saw that cut out scene where he comforts his two daughters after they find out their mother just killed herself. And like I've seen so many people post like, why was this excluded?
Exactly.
But I guess it's because, you know, his character, he only cares about himself.
100%.
And I guess he's with Rhaenyra because that gives him more status and power, because he always wanted to be king.
Yeah.
Just like Aemon does. Wow, it's almost like Daemon and Aemon are supposed to be two sides of the same coin. But I won't say anything because I've read the books.
And I think, which is weird, he was like, before like his second wife died, he was like, oh, I'm content to stay here in Essos. Remember when they had the conversation and she was like, no, I want our children to grow up in Westeros. I want them to be, what is the seat for the Corus Velaryon? Driftmark.
Well, yeah, Driftmark and there's High Tide as well, but I don't know which one's the
Yeah, and then she was like, I want my children to grow up there. So is it that he thought, okay, once he'd married her, that, okay, then my scheming for the throne is on hold. I'm fine where I am now. But then coming back, seeing the situation, seeing how bad his brother was, and also seeing his opportunity to take the throne, did that then change his mind and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, maybe. Because what happened in that episode that made him... Obviously, his wife died, but what happened that made him come back? Was he just bored? He didn't want to have to look after the kids in Essos or something when it dumped them on the grandparents?
Possibly, yeah. It could be possibly that he realized that he was an unfit father. Maybe maybe that's what he thought, that he's unfit father. You know what? I'll dump these on.
Damn.
I'll dump these on their grandparents. They're only legitimate grandchildren.
Yeah.
So I'm doing them a favor. They get to spend time with their only grandchildren.
That's what I found funny, because when Corley's Valerian, he finally comes back, he wakes up in his bed and his wife's fuming, and Rhaenys is absolutely fuming. And by the way, Rhaenys, that armor she's wearing, she looks like a proper warrior queen. She looks so cool.
She does.
The queen that never was, people. But when Corley's Valerian's laying in bed and she's having a go at him, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, your brother's dead." It's just like,
yeah.
And it's like he slowly pulls himself up out of bed. She's like, because he called into question the
legitimacy. Yeah.
Well, she didn't even say. She said Rhaenyra's kids, but she didn't say our
grand. Yeah.
What would they be? Nephews or grandnephews?
No, grandchildren. Because remember,
they would be grandchildren.
They would be grandchildren, and also some type of cousin as well.
Rhaenys is also a Targaryen, so they'd be grandchildren, but also she would be their aunt or something. Or they would be, maybe they're even brothers. Maybe they're brothers and half brothers and sisters.
But one thing I did pick up on is that Rhaenyra's mother wasn't a Targaryen. I thought she was, but in fact she wasn't, because she, remember in the episode, she kept on saying, "Oh, we can go to the Eyrie because as my mother was an Arryn, we can get support from there."
Yeah, but then where's Aemma from? Where's Aemma?
Yeah.
Viserys' first wife. Like, what? I was like, is that a continuity thing there? Like, I don't remember that bit. I mean, funny because looking back at some of the previous episodes, like for example, when we're talking about Caraxes, the bloodworm, I was like, oh no, Caraxes, bloodworm, two different dragons. I've read the books. I was like, nah, that's not true. Talking out of my ass, you know. So I'll probably be careful on that. But yeah, I don't know about the Arryn thing actually. That's weird. But then Aemma's clearly a Targaryen. She's got super blonde hair. And
that's what I was like. That's what I was thinking. Is she? Unless she is Targaryen but doesn't have the surname, maybe? Because you know how
what, she could be her parents, was one of them was a Targaryen.
Like basically Corlys Valerian's two granddaughters, they are also Targaryens but don't hold the surname. Because
that's true.
So it could be that way.
Yeah, maybe. That's really strange. I wonder if there's a couple of plot holes we could point out. Because, like, for example, I've mentioned this before, but, like, Jeffrey, have you seen an episode where Alicent comes at Rhaenyra with the knife and stabs her a little? Yeah, really cool. Love that episode. Cool scene. But I thought it was just a bit strange how basically they literally Alicent stabbed Rhaenyra, and then the next episode Viserys comes out. You see, he does that big speech at the dinner table, kiss and make up, and then they just kiss and make up like that. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever stabbed you in the arm before, but you know, if they were a friend, you definitely wouldn't forgive them at all. That's for sure. Oh my God! Whoa!
No, that's a big spider.
Whoa! Oh my God! Wow! That spider that totally exists. Where did that come from? Damn! Where were we? What were we talking about?
I think it was our big moments from the episode. And the stuff that we liked.
And I think we're talking about like when does Daemon actually show love to his daughters?
Oh yeah.
And then we were saying like it was kind of like when he came back from Essos, it was like, oh yeah, here are your grandkids. Now let me go on to plotting to become king.
Yeah, that was an interesting bit. I think one bit, to completely move on to a different bit, when Rhaenyra gets crowned queen, that was really cool. Especially when like that Kingsguard, that twin shows up and offers the crown. Interesting that he went by himself because his other twin has stayed in the Green Council and stuff. It'd be interesting to see if they like fight each other one day. That would be so amazing.
Yeah, and I think the way they're going to do it is most likely one brother's going to kill the other.
Quickly,
I'll
John.
say nothing.
Yeah, go on.
And I think even in that scene, when he hands the crown to Damon, Damon looks at it like, this should be mine.
Could be mine. Could be mine.
He has that
Yeah.
second look, like it's in my grasp, but unfortunately, it's not mine.
He could, just kill Rhaenyra, just be done with it, could he?
Yeah,
And say, well,
yeah.
there's only one Targaryen left for the Black Council to follow, so now you're mine. Yeah, I would be interested to see where he's going to go with that later, because there's definitely going to be a fracture
100%.
further down. Can't even remember if that was in the book or not. I mean, he still has a show. Also, just to give a shout out, well, it's not really a shout out for him, but so he used to be Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're renewing Doctor Who and they're bringing back David Tennant as the Doctor.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt Smith. To say so. I'm sure they would bring you back if they wanted to, but yeah, new Doctor Who, but with an old Doctor. Crazy
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it rings
And
a
also
bell.
the fact that also links that, remember you said that his son was also
Yeah, that's
House of
true.
the Dragon. So we've got our link in there
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Doctor
Not
Who, to two links.
Not completely going off on a tangent. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, that's true. I wish I could see a bit more of Aegon in this episode. I get it because they wanted to show the Black Council, but Aegon, I'd just be keen to see what he's going to be like as king, because he sounds like he's going to be a Joffrey, and that's going to be even more reason for everyone to hate him.
I think he's going to be less of a Joffrey, but more of a because I don't think he will be like the psychotic side, but I
Just
think
doesn't want to be king.
I think he'd be more like a Tommen, but an older, drunker version of Tommen.
Well, just weak and useless and
Yeah,
teenage.
and basically being told what to do by his mother
Yeah.
or by the hand of the king, and basically something like that. And I think, like, to what you said last week, you're like, the episode 9 was fully focusing on the Green Council, and you said, will they focus all of episode 10 on the Black Council? And I think it's the fact that they actually did. And it kind of makes you feel like there should be one more episode. Like, when you see both sides, unless they're going to, like, start off season 2 where you see, like, both sides, all both in the episode. And, like, one of the things that's different from the books, I think, like, Aemon's intention when he was fighting, I forgot what his name again, but Rhaenyra's second son, in the books, it kind of seemed like he instigated it, but then both of them were then ended up fighting, and then he killed Rhaenyra's second son.
Wait, what? Aemond?
Aemond, yeah, in the books. When you know that at the end of the episode when they go to the Stormlands and go to see the
yeah.
Baratheon, but it kind of seemed like he didn't want him to die intentionally. He just wanted to scare him.
Well,
Yeah.
But it kind of seemed like in the books it was like his intent was
Intentional.
and it kind of seemed like in the books it's like, no, from the offset there was no, oh, let's make peace, let it be easy. No. It's basically straight out, we don't like each other and we're going to end up killing each other. But in the TV series, which I think is nicer, is that it's now showing where, because I thought to myself, where is there going to be in part of the TV series where there is no return?
Yeah, that's
I
it.
thought, would it be when the king died and that they then get Aegon to be crowned as king? And I thought that, is that the period? And it's like, no, actually, Rhaenyra is being amicable and thinking that, you know what, if I just get my supporters, we can do this without treachery, without backstabbing. And even on Alicent's side of it as well, she didn't want to go in basically with treachery or backstabbing like her father wanted to do. But I think now with what's happened, the lines have drawn. And I think it's shown something as well that it kind of seemed like in the books the Targaryens had more control over the dragons than they do in the TV series.
Yeah, because one thing they say in this is the mistake is that we control the dragons, but the truth is the dragons control us. Viserys says that to Rhaenyra in episode 2, episode 3.
Yeah.
So you really see that with Vhagar and Aemond. Like, he accidentally kills.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think he just wanted to intimidate him. And
He did.
I mean, he wanted to take out his eye, and it looked like they were going to try and have a fight. But I don't think he was going to go that far
To kill him, no.
even
Because he's smart enough to know what that means.
Yeah, exactly. And I imagine his mum might have been like, don't. Maybe behind the scenes, like, don't do anything.
And like, because I knew it happened in the books, I was like, oh my days, when she swore them not to fight, oh my days, this is how he's gonna die, isn't it?
Exactly.
This is how it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, oh my.
That sapphire eye as well.
Yeah.
Can we just point out, wow, that's some bling, honestly. If I ever get an eye, that's whatever reason.
But definitely not on the NHS though.
Oh, no, I think that's perfectly justifiable. A big lump of like emerald in my eye. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I know one thing, linking to what Morgan was saying, I saw this interesting post on Instagram about it, was they said that if you look at the whole fight scene, that essentially that's not... Like what Josh was saying, that Aemon didn't want to do it. He didn't want it to happen. That it was actually the dragon that, because Rhaenyra's second son, that dragon sets, burns Aemon's dragon for a bit in the episode.
Yeah.
And apparently that's what someone was saying about, that's what actually the whole show is showing. It's going back to that central point that, humans have their whatever in the House of Dragon universe or in during the episodes, but at the end of the day, if the dragons want there to be war, the dragons will be like, we're going for it, we're going for war. And they said that essentially you can't really say that it's Aemon that starts the war. So unfortunately it's his dragon.
Blame a bad workman blames his tools.
That's true.
But and to what Morgan is saying is like, it's a freaking dragon. Like, what do you expect it to do? Like, you basically, it's like when people have dogs and you're like, get that dog, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, my dog. But then the dragons are basically bred to be killers. So then when a dragon then kills, then can you blame the dragon for killing? It's like,
That's
just
true.
their nature. Yeah.
It's within their nature, and I think that's the kind of thing that King Viserys was like. Yeah, and probably why he was distrustful of dragons as well. Because you never see him ride a dragon.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think he kind of...
Yeah, that could be an interesting thing.
And I think he kind of... And I think that's the whole point with with Daemon and also Rhaenyra. When he's like... I think Daemon says that in the episode, we're powerful down to the fact that we have dragons. And it seems like he's based his whole existence of the Targaryens on the fact that we are powerful because we have dragons, while Viserys and Rhaenyra are basically saying, no, we are Targaryens because we are going to save the world when the darkness comes. And I think it's pivotal the fact that he doesn't find out, and also that's not in the books, which is also weird.
Yeah, Daemon didn't know about the Song of Fire and Ice, which is interesting. Wonder why his brother never told him about that. Maybe it's only something heirs to the throne hear about, but maybe that's why he strangled her, because he was pissed. Yeah,
the fact that it's another reminder that you're not king.
Damn. Yeah, I'm sure he loved that. Yeah. Okay. If you had a pet dragon, out of all the dragons in the series, which one would it be?
I'll probably say... I was going to say Vhagar, but...
I know, it seems uncontrollable, way too big as well. And how would you store that at your house? I haven't seen where you and Jeffrey live, but when, for example, that scene when what was the strong boy called that dies?
Oh my! I know one of they both have.
That's the older one. But
they both have Rhaenyra and Alicent have a child called Aegon. I know that.
Different.
But that's a different son.
But the one that goes to Stormend that Aemon killed, I can't believe I don't know his name. Oh well, who cares? He's dead now. But, when he lands down, that scene's really cool. Where he just Vhagar's shit in the distance, like that feeling of dread and sort of scariness.
Yeah.
I thought Vhagar was kind of a cute dragon. From the episode where Lena asked Vhagar to kill herself, but I thought he seemed like a kind of cute, friendly guy.
I think it was just the insult. I think it's the fact that probably happens with other animals, other hardcore predators, that he's like, I'm the oldest dragon. You should give me respect. I could have killed you, but now you've just put fire all in my face and disgraced me. So now you're going to get it.
I'm a Chingu fan.
Okay, so what dragon would be your favorite?
I would probably say Sea Smoke then.
Yeah, Sea Smoke's kind of cool, actually. It looked quite cool. You don't see much of it.
And I'm just thinking, how much food do you think Vhagar needs in a day?
It's a lot, to be honest.
Oh,
it's ridiculous.
What about
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, a dragon that bit like
Yeah,
you've seen what like
yeah.
a big like a chow chow dog like my brother's got, like those poos are big, like it must stick, like the dragon pit and stuff.
Yeah, it must smell awful.
Yeah,
And I think
well, actually, yeah, do you remember in the first episode when Nero like meets our father at the small council meeting? He's like, he like sniffs her. You've been on Dragon Bear. Just smelling Cyrax's poop on her. Like, oh, gross.
No.
All right, Jeffrey, what's your dragon?
You know, I'm just going to be that guy that's going to be different. I will go for Vhagar because I will be that guy and just be like,
Damn.
Because imagine that, everyone's just chatting rubbish. Everyone's chatting rubbish to you. And you're just like, cool. Let me go get my big bad dragon. let me go get my guy and let's see what you're saying later. I feel like kind of like what you said. And like what Josh was saying, I think that's what Vhagar is like. He's like, if you respect me, like I won't do anything to you. But the moment you like step out of line, that's when I'm just like, all right, cool. I got to put you in your place and show you like
this little dragon.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll go with Vhagar.
Oh, fair. I think I'd probably go with the bloodworm, Caraxus, just because it makes it, unlike all the other dragons, it makes that weird noise. That like, and I can't tell, was it cute or a bit like unnerving? It was a bit scary with those. With the two Knights of the King's Guard, and Damon's like, you'll die screaming. Like, it makes that noise then. I'm like, oh god, it is a bit like scary rather than cute.
Yeah.
And the dragons are really the selling point, because there was no big giant battle in this series apart from that fight with the crab feeder. That really wasn't a big one, even at the end. But it was that fight between Vhagar and I can't even remember what dragon. Well, it doesn't matter now. It's dead. What do we think of like some of the settings we've had in this series?
I think this episode, the amazing part of it is the fact that when Hightower and Damon meet on the exact same bridge, they met earlier on in the season. Cool. And remember, who came to save the day on the first part and who came to save the day in the second part? It's still Rhaenyra.
That full circle thing, and now she's married. That was so cool. She lands in the same place. She walks past them. Otto must be like, oh god,
not this S again.
I'm getting really bored of this crap.
You know what? Let's destroy this bridge on the way out.
Yeah, exactly. Or just burn them all. Like again, it's like with Rhaenys. She could have burnt the Green Council all in one go. Again, they could have killed Otto Hightower. Although her side piece wasn't there, and I know a lot of the Green Council, but you could have easily just killed him.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, also because I've read the books, and also Morgan, you've read the books, I think it's now like people are going to be like, oh, why didn't they kill this person earlier? Oh, if they're going to do this, why didn't they just kill him earlier? And I think that's what Hightower was saying, is like, you never want the situation where you're like, if I'd killed this person earlier, this wouldn't have happened. And I think Rhaenyra is starting to see that now.
Yeah, better to kill them first. And
it's like it's better off them dead than her own son, who's now dead as well.
Well, yeah, because Daemon. So when Rhaenys comes in and tells them about what's going on, Daemon's like really doubtful of Rhaenys first. Like, yet you are still here to tell the tale. And it's like, whoa, Daemon. She's come to tell you all this stuff. Like, and it's like,
salty as ever. Eh?
Damn.
Like, I'm the center of attention here. What are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly. He's so salty. And he then points out, like, why didn't you kill them all? You had the chance and you didn't kill them all. And I was like, okay, fair enough, Damon. You got a point there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Damon's going to cause a lot of issues, and especially when he's strangling Rhaenyra. Wow.
Yeah.
Going back to the setting thing, I thought it was really cool to see. What's the place they see in the Stormlands where?
Oh,
what was it? Storm's End.
Yeah, Storm's End.
That's it. That was really cool. The whole setting. Of course, there's going to be a storm, but like with that weird castle with a tower, I don't know how people can construct. If it's supposed to be based on medieval society, I'd love to see how they constructed a tower like that in one of the stormy places by the sea. But so cool, very atmospheric, and I'm glad to see that they're sort of expanding out to more places, because so far we've just seen the Stepstones and King's Landing and Dragonstone. And I saw like the next series they're going to expand it out a lot more, so we'll start to see a lot more Westeros. And Jacaerys went up to the north to talk to the Starks, so we're probably going to see more of them, which is everyone's fan favourites, you know.
Yeah.
Be keen for that.
Yeah, and I think one clever thing they did was the fact that the conclusion of the fight takes place when the storm stops and the sunlight comes through.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like, oh, the sun's come through, he's going to escape. Nope. Dead.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like the juxtaposition of it all. Like a storm where they're fighting, the sun comes through, he's escaping. And then I think for people who hadn't read the books, they would have been like, oh, he's going to escape now, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like the season's kind of ruined because I've read the books, but it's like knowing it's going to happen, the shock factor is a little bit less because you're like, oh, that's how they're going to do it. Less of then, oh my days, this has just happened. And I think that's what was kind of nice with season 6, 7, and parts of season 8 of Game of Thrones is that, okay, the books have stopped. At least what I'm seeing now is brand new. Like, you know, when the Night's Watch also with some of the wildlings went to the north to then bring people in. That wasn't in the books, but the fact that you had that, remember they went to bring people in across the wall, on the other side of the wall, so then the White Walkers wouldn't be able to take them, to convince them.
Hard home.
Yeah, and then the fact that wasn't in the books, and like, I think that was one of my favorite scenes. Just the fact that, if I'm remembering correctly, they're like, what's happening over there? And then all you see is this rush of snow. And then you then see all of these what are they called again? Not whites, because the whites are the ones who White Walkers literally rushing in to Hardhome to then take people, and then they literally get to the ships. And I was like, how many of them are going to die in this? How many are going to get saved? But I think knowing that the books had stopped there and everything I was watching now was like brand new, I kind of feel like I want to have more of those moments within like House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I hope so too. I would like to see that because Game of Thrones is basically spoiled for me, like, or at least the big things, like the Red Wedding. Stuff was really cool, but I wish I was one of those people who didn't.
Yeah.
Because I watched the first season of Game of Thrones without reading the books. Cause I was like, I'll just give this a watch. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, and then didn't read the books. But when Ned Stark died, I was like, oh my holy god, that they just killed him. How can they kill a main character? This never happens, like in Hollywood or like in TV and cinema. And they started this trend, and so many other shows have taken up. Like The Force Awakens, they just kill off Han Solo straight away. I was like, oh well, that's kind of cool. I like that. But they're just catching on to the Game of Thrones trend there. Yeah, that sort of realism.
And like even on that Harrison Ford, I think he only wanted to be in one because he wanted to then branch off back into my days.
Indiana Jones?
No. Do you know he's got 3 distinct films? He's got Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and what's the third one? That's based in like a sci-fi future. What's
Blade
it called?
Runner.
Blade Runner, yeah.
Oh,
so he was going off to do the Blade Runner film, but unfortunately, I don't know why. Like critics loved the new Blade Runner film with Ryan Gosling, but the fans didn't like it as much.
Yeah.
Because I think they were trying to like base off like a huge franchise based off Blade Runner. Wasn't it Blade Runner
2049?
Yeah.
2049? And I think that's what he was banking on. And I think now that didn't work out, he's like put his heart and soul into Indiana Jones. And like people are saying that it's got Spielberg, it's got like a fully committed Harrison Ford, it's got the backing of Disney's money, and also potentially I think George Lucas is also involved in the project as well, because it's like, come on people, you've got the money, you've got the actors, you've got the director, you've got the writing, give us a film that's off the charts.
I don't know. I feel like that doesn't guarantee anything these days. It's like Rings of Power. We're talking about again. $400 million went into that. Whilst House of the Dragon was, I think, like $175 million. So like, just comparison's sake. And what's the better show? Like for me, House of the Dragon. I still think Rings of Power is okay, but decent. Okay, would be a bit mean, but. Considering $400 million was spent into it, like, you know that scene. Basically, Mordor's just been founded, but we don't know it's called Mordor yet. And like the orc's like, yes, we now have our home in the Southlands, and Adar's like, no, it's not the Southlands. We shall call it something else. And then he looks up, and you see that scene of Mordor, and then just bloody like font comes up in the top left corner and says the Southlands, and then it just changes font, like goes from Calibri Brody to like Times New Roman or like word art, and it just says Mordor, and I was like, $400 million, and you've just basically used word art from Microsoft Word.
I think a lot of the money went into the setting of it, because the CGI is, I would say, is amazing in that show.
I'd say maybe in some cases the CGI is better than House of Dragon. Like, I think dragons are really good in House of Dragon, but there's some shots of like King's Landing. I was like, this looks garbage. The CGI, like even in Game of Thrones, is like not bad. Some shots look really bad, but Rings of Power, I'd say the CGI was on point, and also like some of the martial arts effects, like I can't remember the name of the elf that falls in love with
the Gladriel, I think. That's the
that's the woman, the main character.
Oh gosh,
I've forgotten his name.
Oh gosh, what is?
He's just hot elf guy. He's hot. The martial arts effects and like the fight scenes, he like seriously cool. Like they put some money in.
Yeah, like with the part where they're chained up and they're trying to break away, and they do that huge. The guy does that huge jump.
Yeah,
and then slams it down. I was like, that actually is really good, well done CGI. Yeah, because I think it might have been CGI, or they could have just used ropes. But I was just saying, like, it was really well done.
Yeah.
So I think like the people who did like the special effects, the CGI, are going to be like, we made it. Yeah, the show, the writing has nothing to do with us, but the setting and the CGI is us. We should get awards for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just whoever did that Southlands to Mordor word art, that was terrible.
But I think. Oh no, go ahead.
No, you go. Honey.
No, I was just going to say, linking to what you were saying before about sometimes the craft isn't the same as like what it should be. Is I saw this article about this writer that left the Witcher series after season 2. He came back and was just like, unfortunately, some of the writers really hate the games and the books, so they're just like, we're gonna not do, like, we've read the books, we've seen the game, and we don't want to do this. And I think sometimes that's what happens with like some of these shows, that people are just like, oh, you know what? We think that like fans will really like this character, so we're gonna change their story a bit. Or like I know like Joshua was saying in The Witcher, like a character dies in the second season who in the game and in the books is like super important to the whole storyline, and he's not dead in the books or the game.
That's true, yeah.
And they were just like, the thing is, if you as a writer, you don't like it, that's cool, I get it. But then you got to think about that you're not writing, at the end of the day, you're not writing it for yourself. You're writing it for an audience.
Yeah.
And if you're getting rid of characters that the audience like, or the characters that the audience will emphasize with, it's like fans will just be like, no, I'm good. Like I know quite a few friends who, like, after the first season of The Witcher, were just like, this is a bit dry. This isn't as good as it could be.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's 100% the truth, that it's when I just don't get it. I'm just like, you've literally got all of it there for you to just find a way to transport it from book to film, or like from game to film, and they're just like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good.
And like sometimes it's as if like they want to show off their directing or writing skills. Like, they did it this way, but the way we're going to do it is going to make it so much better. And then you're like, but where did you sometimes like? So did you read any of the lore that you're writing this series on? I think that's what kind of you see in, as we mentioned before, or mentioned earlier, like Star Wars is like the sequels. Like 7 was like basically the rehashing of 4, but with a new generation, and had so many places where you could go. The second film, so 8, was kind of like you're giving it to someone who doesn't understand Star Wars lore to just make a sci-fi film. Like the thing that really gets on my nerves and gets on so many like Star Wars fans' nerves is that Luke Skywalker wouldn't try and kill his nephew.
Damn.
If in the fact that he was literally in front of Palpatine, in front of Darth Vader, the person who killed his adopted father, so which was his uncle, and killed his mentor, and killed millions, potentially billions, blew up Leia's home, and like caused so much, cut off his hand, and literally he's like, no, I'm not going to kill him.
100%.
But then he has a huge character shift. He's like, you know what, nephew, you pushed it too far here. You must die. like literally the epitome of evil with Vader and Darth Vader. He doesn't kill them, but then he's like, you know what, nephew, this is too close to home. They'll blame me for you turning evil, so you need to die. And it's not as if like he saw him commit a crime. It's a vision, and then he loses it. And I think like they were saying like Mark Hamill was really angry about it.
Oh yeah, I love watching Mark Hamill
Yeah.
interviews about the Last Jedi.
And he's like, but I'm an actor and I'm a good actor, so I will do what I'm asked to do. But it's like, did the guy like read up on any of the lore or understand like the character of Luke Skywalker? Like,
what, you mean Mark Hamill or the writer?
no, the director. It's like
100%.
like Luke Skywalker would never do that. Like in the expanded universe, which I think if they took some of those stories, it would have been a lot better. I think so. Palpatine does have a clone, but he tricks Luke into working for him because Luke has a fear of the unknown, of what is next. So he constantly fears of what is the next big thing. Okay, we live in a huge, big galaxy. We know we defeated Palpatine. How do we then ensure peace to continue on, not just for now, but for the future? And I think that Palpatine then uses that fear to trick Luke to the clone of Palpatine to work for him. And I think that could have been used more of the fact that they're like, oh no, we've got Snoke, but Snoke is a failed clone of Darth Sidis's master. And I think it's like listening to the actors, some of them, I think the person who's upset the most is like Daisy Ridley, because everybody else has gone on to find other things to do which are pretty big apart from her, which is unfortunate. So I think she's like, they didn't know what to do with like Rey's family, and it changed from film to film.
100%.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right with you said like when writers get it right, it works because so like one example comes to mind is Rogue One, Darth Vader. Because this like first of all, people didn't even know he was going to be in the film from the trailers. But then when you first see him the first time, and he does the Force choke, and then the scene at the end, literally like when you literally, it's just the fact that it's silent. They're just waiting, and then all you just hear is the. You see the lightsaber, and it's just like,
I'm a King you fan.
And I was just like, that gets it because I saw on Instagram like a comic strip about it that basically there was. Darth Vader, like, if they ever make this, like, a live-action version of this would be amazing. Even animated, I don't care. It would be amazing. There's this comic book scene where Darth Vader is basically surrounded by, like, this massive army of the Republic.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And they're just like, Vader, surrender. You're surrounded. And he's just like, all I'm surrounded by are dead men. And he like, lights his lightsaber. And then go, and I was just like, that is getting the character.
Yeah.
Like, if you go ahead and you're just like, okay, you know, Darth Vader from the books or the comic books and like from the previous films, he's like this hard guy. You know, he's had a hard life, sure. You can empathize with him because of all the stuff that happened when he was Anakin, whatever. But like, he is someone that instills fear. And I think another shout out to say would be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is like a video game that, like, again, like, no one knew Vader was going to be in the game. You think this one person is like the last boss. And you get to the end of the game, and it's literally almost the same thing. Like, you defeat the main boss, you know, you try and convince her to the good side, and you know, she's like, okay, you know, I get what you're saying. And then all you just see is she just freezes. And I was just like, what the heck's going on? Is the game broken? And then again, you just hear the
damn.
And then you just see him, and then and it's funny because the main guy that you're playing as doesn't know who he is, so he's just like, "Who the heck is this guy?" Yeah, and he just comes down and like the chase, like you can see on YouTube the chase scene, and I was just like, that is getting a character, like his name alone puts fear in people,
encapsulating that's sort of like the essence of them quite well.
Yeah, like even like in Kenobi.
Oh yeah,
which is so hilarious. Have you seen Kenobi?
Yeah.
The fact that he turns to, you know, the woman who's the Inquisitor who's trying to kill him. because he basically messed up her whole life, and then she's been doing this whole plot to find a way to kill Vader by using Obi-Wan Kenobi to lure Vader. And the fact that Vader's like, you basically said, youngling, you didn't think I didn't see you.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So literally, he's basically known that she must have a plot against him, and literally let her live, and knew that she then joined the Empire, joined as an Inquisitor, and basically was like, yeah, I know you're there for the whole time.
And I think the harshest thing in the fight was the fact that he doesn't even like people saying, if you watch the fight, he doesn't even light his lightsaber to fight her. He's like literally just using the force.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Which is new to the Star Wars.
He's just like, you're not even worth it. You're not even worth it.
Lol.
Yeah, and like to your point, like the way that they've done Vader is credit to him as well. And also just quickly shout, James L. Jones is retired. Yeah, doing the voice of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there was a big gap between the
Yeah.
last time he did it, but
Yeah.
he did well. He was a
Yeah.
cool voice actor, and he also in the movies as in. So, what color is Darth Vader's lightsaber?
It's red, isn't it?
Red,
What
yeah,
color is the dragon in the Targaryen sigil?
red.
There we go. We brought it back to House. Because when do we ever go on a tangent
Of
in this
course.
show? Never. But we welcome it sometimes. But what do we think is going to happen in the next series of House of the Dragon?
It's just war.
Or
Just war, yeah.
It's just going to be bloody.
All out war. Yeah, I think the clever thing they'll do is all out war at the beginning, some kind of like some Cold War stalemate in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and then all out war at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the clever way to do it. Because then like having like war throughout the whole season will then kind of get tiring for the audience.
Maybe, but then with Game of Thrones season 2, you had the Clash of the Kings, and that's where you had the big budget battles starting off. Because first season of Game of Thrones, when there were battles, they cleverly, like Tyrion gets knocked out and he wakes up at the end of the battle.
End of the battle, yeah.
Saving money, are we?
Yeah,
Like,
or the fact that the battle where Rob fights the Lannister army and defeats them, and the fact that he's like all you see is them like holding Jamie.
Like, come on, stop copping out. Like, but I guess they were like they're being careful because they didn't know if it was going to be successful. But now again with House of Dragon, now we'll see a lot more of these high risk, high budget fight scenes.
Yeah, and I think what was different is that I think like you've got two levels of conflict. You've got conflict between the dragons, and then you've also got conflict between armies. And then and I think like molding those together, that you can basically win a battle and then end up losing because one of the dragon riders has been killed. One of the princes on either side, either green or red, has been killed, or any of the people on that side have been killed. So basically, they've won the battle, but technically lost the war because their dragon's been defeated. And also worse, like the dragon that survives just mows down the winning army. Like,
yeah, it's true. And it kind of reminds you of what Daemon says when he choked Rhaenyra, and this episode was, dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did. The dragons are so important in this, and I'm not going to say anything about what's going to happen in the next series, but you'll see, how important. You've seen that in Game of Thrones already, like when the Lannisters get ambushed by Daenerys and the Dothraki and the dragon, they get absolutely roasted.
Battered,
Nothing can stand against that. Like, sure, those weird giant crossbow things. But
apart from Dawn, I don't know. Someone needs to go to Dawn and ask for their secret. Like how did you kill like Aegon the Conqueror's wife with what did they use? Because I think
it's called a scorpion. Those big like crossbow things, but they hid everywhere. When the army
so kind of like the crab feeder they just hid in the caves and then just waited for them to, which they were doing, run out of food, run out of water, run out of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe Dawn should start making money with dragon deterrence.
Exactly, they can provide a special service.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what we think about the next season. What is your favorite scene in this entire series? You go first.
Favorite scene.
Or Jeffrey, have you got one in mind already?
Ooh.
Well, whilst you two are thinking, I know what mine is
Okay,
already.
okay.
It's funny. I'm always asking the questions of this, but really, I'm just waiting to say what I want. My favourite scene is that fireplace scene where Alicent confronts. So Aemon's had his eyes stabbed out.
Yeah.
Kids. Alicent confronts Rhaenyra and everyone, calls into question the strong boys.
Yeah. Sounds like a band.
The strong boys. And then she comes at Rhaenyra with the knife.
I'm a Chingu fam.
I pressed the button again. That was so cool because the cinematography of that scene, the way they have the fireplace in the background, they really like the fireplace is just a fireplace, but it looks huge. They overemphasize the light. It's like a technique a lot of photographers use. And it's shining off the blade, and they're having this deep moment, and it's beautiful. And when the blade gets dropped out of Alicent's hand and clatters on the floor, just the scene of it shining, the light shine. Something about that scene's so good. I've rewatched it so many times, and I just can't get over it. The Viserys scene in the next episode, when he comes in as an old man, really cool as well. But I think that takes the biscuit. Okay, that's me. Who wants to go first with their favourite scene?
I would say I'm going to break the mold and just pick two. I actually no. The thing is, I got three. I can't decide between when Daemon comes back and has the crown after defeating the Triarchy. He comes in with the crown and then gives it to his brother. Actually, no. I'll put that as third. I think the one that you mentioned, like with when Viserys comes in and he's tired old man with his walking stick and then climbs the throne, his crown then falls off, and then Daemon picks it up and gives. I think that scene, and I think also the scene, like, you know, the last, kind of like the Last Supper scene, where it's him and every of the main characters sitting there with the main people on both sides sitting, eating and having a meal, and you're thinking to yourselves, like, if you hadn't read the books, are they going to? Is House of the Dragon going to be different? Are they going to actually mold together? Yeah. Because I think especially that scene, like when he takes off his eye patch and shows his eye, and it's like, I just want everyone to just get along. And you actually see everyone around the table like start to get along until a certain someone, not mentioning names, decides to do a toast to the strong boys.
That was so fun. I love that toast. That was so funny. It's like everything was going well, and then as soon as he said that, even his mother Alison was like, "Why would you say that? Oh my god!" I love it when Viserys takes off that mask. I want everyone to get along and also not enjoy their dinner.
Yeah.
Don't let this put you off. What was your favourite scene?
I would say, kind of like Joshua, I've got two, but I'd say it's hard. So the first one I was thinking of was the one we were talking about before, about, you know, when when they're looking at the dragon in the first episode, it's the dragon's head, and then Viserys is talking about, you know, the Targaryen line. You know, he's going through like, you know, we don't control dragons. We're only in power because we've got the dragons, basically. And I felt like that, you know, setting the tone for the show. It's saying like, hey, look, you know, we might be in power, but that's only because we've got dragons. And it sort of like also sort of hints at what happens in Game of Thrones as well, which is, I thought, was a really interesting callback. And I guess because that did a callback, the other one that I would say was when Rhaenyra in the first episode is announced as the heir. Because for me, that just like you know, the hearing the Game of Thrones theme tune in the background, you know, and it's just like setting the tone. You're just like, okay, guys, like this is what we're gonna do. This is like, you know, you might have had concerns, you might have watched trailers, you might have seen stuff, and you might have been thinking, you know, this is what the show could be. But we're telling you now, we're hitting the ground and we're hitting it running. And I think that to me was really good, because it was just like, okay, you know, like, it's gonna go down, like, you know, bad stuff's gonna happen, but you're just like, this is the start of like where things will begin to go wrong. So those would be my two favorite.
Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. Like, especially when she gets coronated, because you get a Stark appearance, and that's why you get a cameo like, I, Clegane Stark, do swear to on my vows. And that'd be very cool to see what the Starks are like in season 2, because in the book they're described as like, I think it was Clegane Stark, or at least whoever's sitting the throne at that sitting as Lord of Winterfell, was known to be very like very, very blunt, but also very honest, honourable and fair, and not completely charmless. And I'd be so keen to see it. And the Northerner, no, it's not spoiler, but the Northerners in the rest of House of the Dragon and in the book Fire and Blood, they're going to be cool. Just keep your eyes out for them. I'm not going to say any more. Okay, so we've got our favourite scenes. Who are our only one character, please. Who's our favourite character? And I might maybe not Daemon because everyone's going to say Daemon. So you're not allowed to say Daemon.
Okay, I'll say Corus Valerian. And I think especially...
Mine too.
I think he's the only one, him and his wife actually, are the only two that I would say came out of the episode, that season, that from the start and then at the end, you actually came out with a better look at them and actually liked them a lot more. Because
they're dynamic. I quite like.
And
that.
I think the fact that Corus Valerian was like, you know what? Forget the Iron Throne. Forget scheming. Forget all this. It's family. Family is the most important thing that I should have focused on. And because of my constant badgering on for power, he got his son killed. He got his daughter killed. And it's funny enough that both of them are married to Targaryens, and now both of them are married to each other, which is also kind of weird. And the fact that he should have just focused on his family.
Yeah.
And if he forgot about power and forgot about focusing on it, his son and daughter most likely would still be alive because he wouldn't have tried to just marry them off. And also the fact that he would have been I think he also realized he would have been a better husband to his wife. And I think that's what he realizes. And that's when he's like, you know what, forget this. We pick no sides. We'll just go off and literally just live our lives and be separate from everybody else and then just enjoy ourselves with our grandchildren.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's such a...
Yeah, and I was thinking the quick thing that he realized that forget the realm, forget about the power. Most important thing to me is my family. I've lost too many already. I want to keep the family I have close and just live out the rest of my life with the family that I love. And I think that was the key thing for me that pushed it over the edge for me, that he is my favorite character from the first season.
Yeah, it's quite a sweet, simple message as well.
Yeah.
It's thinking of our lives aren't epic. We just talk about work, but people who work too much and neglect their family, and it felt kind of relatable in a way, even though I can't relate to the universe where people are shagging their sisters and decapitating each other and saying people are like with dragons.
Yeah, and it's just quickly, it's like a message for even everyone in the Game of Thrones universe. If you focus on the Lannisters, the Lannisters had everything perfectly lined up, but the constant pursuit of power lost them their family.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the Starks you could basically say it's a series of unfortunate events, basically for the Starks, one after the other, that their honor and just the unluckiness that they weren't straight up bastards, basically similar to Jeffrey's looking at me because he has to bleep that out later.
No, I haven't been bleeping it out. It is a technical word.
True.
You didn't say it in a... Well, actually, did you say that in a technical way or did you say that in an insulting way?
Technical way, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
good. I was ready to bleep.
So the times where you see stuff in Shakespeare and you're allowed to say it if you're reading it out because it's Shakespeare, but if it's not Shakespeare, you can't then say it. But yeah, the fact that how many families have basically even Stannis Baratheon, his family was corrupted and messed up because of his search for power.
Yeah, I mean
his daughter and literally his wife going mad because of the loss of her daughter. Then Renly basically died because he wanted the throne and was then killed by his brother. And it's I think the main point that they're trying to get over to everyone in the Game of Thrones universe is that if you look for power, you will end up losing the ones that are near you that you love. And then you just see it in so many different families.
No, I get that.
Who's your favourite character?
I'm going to be that guy who's different again. I'm going to say Viserys. The reason why I'd say him is, well, one, I can link it to George R. R. Martin saying that he called, I don't remember the actor's name, but he called the actor that
Paddy
played
Considine.
Yeah, and he told him that you're a better Viserys than the one in the book.
Yeah, I saw that post online.
So I was just like, oh, that's nice. But I think it's kind of what I was talking to Joshua about it before, that you kind of like what Joshua was saying about family. He's a guy that he's just look, it's just been unlucky, like, that he couldn't have a direct son, so he could be like, cool, you are now my heir. It's all this whole complicated thing. And at the end of the day, he just wants everyone to get along. He wants his family to get along. He's like, whether, you know, Rhaenyra's children are her, you know, her actual children or not, you know, whether, you know, Alicent and Rhaenyra are getting along or not, he's just like, hey, look, guys, you know, at the end of the day, we all just family. We all just want the best for our families. Let's just focus on that. And I think it's interesting to see, like, you know, throughout the whole season, he's just trying to keep the family together. And, you know, he's even though, you know, sometimes he struggles with that, you know, especially with Daemon, you know, at the start, you know, he even says at the start, like, you know, I don't want, like, he didn't want to send him away. He was just like, Daemon, I want you to be by my side. But obviously, you know, Daemon's just like, but why weren't you? Like, why didn't you make me a hand? And things like that.
You're an asshole.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing, that, like, he's always throughout the whole series been trying to be like, okay, guys, I want us to be close. Let's just find a way for us all to get along. And it's just, like, interesting from, I guess, like, from watch, like, obviously if you're in it, it's probably sucks, but, like, from watching it, it's really interesting to see how he's, like, managing his family, how he's trying to make sure everything works, and then how that doesn't essentially end up happening. It's an interesting twist.
He's like the bedrock. He's like the homemaker.
Yeah. And like, what's different from the books is that it seems like in the TV series, he is what's stopping the war from taking place. But in the books, it's like he is the reason the war takes place.
Too weak. I think because I know Daemon calls him weak at the beginning, like. I was protecting you, brother. And he's like, protecting me from what? And he's like, yourself. You're weak, brother. To be honest, though, I don't know if he comes across as that weak. In the book, it is more emphasized that whilst he is a good king, he's actually a good man. He listens to advisors. He doesn't. He's not a dictator. He's weak. He divers. He can't make decisions too quickly. Whilst in this, I don't know. It's not so good. I will say though, love Viserys' betrayal, but I still can't get over the fact that he basically killed his wife. That's Caesarion. A lot of people were making out like, oh, he's such a good man, he's such a great character. I saw this on social media, and I just really wanted to comment on all of them, but he also killed his wife, like indirectly by that Caesarion. That he knew, he just wanted a male heir.
He just wanted a male heir.
Cut that stuff open, like, it's a funny one. I feel like does the good outweigh the bad? I don't know. Everyone's cut shades of grey in this. And I think my favourite character, I'm going to have to agree with Josh here, is definitely Corlys Velaryon, just because he is a boss. And I can't wait for the spin-off show to come out about him. I don't know what they're going to do about, but it is his 9 great voyages. Like, he's been all over Westeros. He's been to Hardhome, that you mentioned earlier, where all the wildlings were gathering. He's been to Yi Ti, which is supposed to be based on Imperial China, which is like just south of Essos. It's so cool. I can't wait to actually see that spin-off. That's about his 9 great voyages. We'll see that. And also Rhaenys as well. She is so cool in that armor. She looks like a warrior queen. So badass. Another thing to point out is 2 characters that don't age at all. Like, Daemon has aged a little bit. I think they've applied some forehead makeup to him, and that's
some extra lines and creative.
Sorry, Matt Smith. I feel like I've been ripping on you a lot today. 2 characters that don't age at all, which is, you know, a bit weird, and they should probably do something about that. But love it in the first episode how I saw a post on this on social media, like, wow, Corlys Velaryon and Rhaenys are so cute. They're that couple that just sit there drinking wine about all the other people. You know, love it.
And like, even thinking, Corlys Velaryon should have been Hand of the King. If Corlys Velaryon was Hand of the King, none of that stuff would have happened, and the realm would have been stronger for it. And I think, like, you even see it from like the first few episodes. The King Viserys has yes men on his council.
100%.
And then he also has Hightower, who basically manipulates him. Like, I think the cleverness of Hightower is that he knows he can't push too much, so he just like small pushes here and there. And I think because they're so small that the king can't see it, the grand scheme, but because it's so small, I think only people who can like openly, who are around him all the time, can see the schemes.
Yeah,
and I think
that's true. Like Daemon.
Like, I think Daemon sees it, one, because he also wants to manipulate his brother as well. You see that later on in episodes, especially when he's like, oh, marry Rhaenyra to me. Like, wait,
Yeah.
so you basically took the king's daughter to a brothel, almost slept with her, and then you're like, marry her to me.
Wow.
Like all
Hard
the things.
sell.
But yeah, but if like Quos Valerian was the hand of the king, Westeros would have been a lot better for it.
Yeah, I think so. It might have been better. Maybe there'd been less ambitious tinkering.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
he was also a very ambitious man, Corley's, as he says in this episode. Like, he was aiming for the Iron Throne as well. So maybe it would have been different, but also similar in some ways. If
True.
Otto Hightower wasn't involved.
But I think Quos Valerian isn't. I think with him is that he doesn't play the Littlefinger or Otto Hightower games.
Yeah, he's very
He-
direct.
he's more direct.
and obvious with what he wants.
So then it's easier for then the king to like be like no and to bat it down. And also I think like to have like someone who's a dissenting voice as well, who's not going to agree with everything the king
Yeah.
says, and then manipulating it into a way that is good for Otto Hightower as well.
Exactly, and I just
'Cause, like-
I love how he just bangs on about the crab feeder.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and literally he was correct the whole time.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he should become the new crab feeder. Like, now that he owns the stepped stones and stuff and his garrison.
Yeah.
It. I missed the crab feeder. You were gone too soon. You were no. The crab feeder was the best character because he didn't say anything.
but got things done.
Yeah, exactly.
He got things done.
Gets things done. That's who we need in power. That's who we need in power in the United Kingdom. We don't need no conservative government. We need a crab feeder. Oh, that's horrible. Imagine they just like stringing up people.
outside the House of Parliament.
Nailing
Oh.
them. So, well, let's not think about that. On that note, any last thoughts about the series, about House of Dragon, what we want to see?
I think it's a very, very, very good season from start to end, and I think it's hard nowadays to see a TV series that is like that. That
So
you can
polished,
say that you
yeah.
can say from the beginning until the end,
It keeps that.
it never dropped the level of whether it's scenery, whether it's acting, whether it's story. Like from start to end, it is a very, very good, almost excellent TV series.
Yeah.
And I think like you would have like series like maybe like 10, 15 years ago, but I don't think there's like any, I can say like a whole season, but apart from like pointing back to Game of Thrones, that you can say, actually I can say, Daredevil season 2 on Netflix was one of the TV shows that was good from beginning of
Yeah.
season 2 to the end. But I think it's
That was
like
pretty awesome.
harder nowadays, especially when we're in like the period of like ultimate streaming. There's so many things to watch that you actually have a TV series which is great from beginning to end, the middle, everything throughout is at a high level, and they keep it consistent. So I think for the next season, it's just keep it like that for the next season and the following seasons after that. If they go on to 3 or season 4 as well,
I think it's 4.
yeah, just keep it at a high level continuously, and like even if it means you have to do less episodes, then that's fine.
That's fine.
Like don't try and force that. Maybe we can go to 12 episodes or go to 15 episodes. If the story can be told brilliantly in 10, keep it at 10. Don't try and push it to more episodes. Or even if you think that for this season, if we drop it down to 9 or to potentially to 8, it'll be a lot more compelling with more action. Then yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I love Game of Thrones and House of Dragons so much. I feel like anything I could say it's amazing, but I don't think everyone's going to believe me because I'll just always say that because I love it. I really do. There were some slow moments in this season, but again, first season syndrome, like with Rings of Power, you've got to set the scene.
Yeah.
But overall, I just loved it. I loved every moment
Yeah.
because I reread the book as well recently. I was just nerding out all over this. Like, I just can't wait for the next season. But no! Why are there no more episodes for 2 years? Why can't they rush the new series and screen it sooner, just like the last series of Game of Thrones? Oh, maybe not then. But I guess that's it, folks. That's the end of this Two Maesters look into House of the Dragon. It's been fabulous. It's been fantastic. We will be coming back with some more material soon. Me and Josh have discussed, and we're going to spend long episodes just diving into the entire universe.
Yeah.
Maybe the Dune universe, Star Wars universe, The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, The Witcher. So many of these delicious, delectable subjects. And we're going to do Love Island as well. we're going to do a 4-hour special talking about Love Island. Because
or potentially melding universes into Love Island. Like, who'd you put together in Love Island?
all the Targaryens. They're just Love Island, but full of Targaryen families.
What would happen if you put Cersei and Daemon together in a couple?
Oh my god, that would be so toxic. I would love to do that. I'd pay good money. Jeffrey, thanks for coming on, buddy. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. You are special to me, and I hold you dear in my heart. And I'm sure you're special to your brother as well.
At times.
At times.
Yeah, exactly. Siblings. And is there anything you'd like to say?
No, just thank you to both of you guys. Two Maesters has been your segment that you've led, and I'm glad to say you guys have done amazing work with it, and it's been really good to see the stuff that you do. Because you guys, first time in the studio, so this is the first of hopefully many times that we'll be back in the studio doing stuff. So thank you.
Excellent! I look forward to it. He's probably going to fire us.
Yeah. So. If you don't see them again, you now know why.
Exactly. Let them down softly, as they say. I know. I think there's someone we're forgetting. Oh yeah, the audience. I guess you guys are all right. Of course. Yeah, you're okay. No, joking. We love you. Please like us. Leave a comment. Also, if you want to subscribe to our Patreon, check the link below, because money makes the world go round, and we need it for this show. We also need you. Your love's just fine. Just give us a like or leave us a comment saying how much you love this show and how much you'd love to see us come back. And I will reply myself. Yes.
Thanks for taking that on, Morgan.
Yeah, oh god, I might get some hate mail now. So, if you want to hear more and find out when more episodes release, click the notification bell. And don't forget, we're part of the Pick Up the Mic network, which has many other segments such as Comics 101 and Backstage.
Yeah, Backstage, Behind the Curtain, Into the Spotlight. We haven't got a name for it yet, but there will be, for any of our Brunel listeners, Brunel-focused stuff about experience. We've even got our Brunel alumni here.
Brunel!
who, if he's willing to, he might be on a few episodes as well to let you know about his experience. But just keep an eye out. We've got quite a few things coming.
Excellent. Well, on that note, I wish you folks farewell.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weeks. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
And you too, Morgan.
Oh, thanks, darling. Damn. Bye-bye.
See you all.
Perfect.